Okay, for this project, I have a torn boot over my CV joint, so it is going to fail. I'm going to remove the drive shaft, buy the entire drive shaft because you have to take it out anyway to fix the boot, just replace the whole thing. One of the things I have to do, I'm not going to follow the manual's directions to remove the ball joint. I'm going to remove these top two bolts up here on the knuckle, and then the rotor will lift down this way against the lower control arm. So part of doing that is removing this spindle nut that's coming through the hub. So take the wheel off, then remove this cap.
All right, now you're going to tap this center cap out from this side. You know, just lightly tap it with a punch till it comes out because we need this open. You're going to put the tire back on, and then we're going to break this bolt. Unless you have an impact wrench, you need the weight of the car back on this to be able to break that bolt by hand.
After the cap's removed, put the wheel back on.
All right. So when you put these on, you want to tighten diagonally. I'm just leaving the lock one off for now. And don't go too crazy when you torque it down. That's enough. We're just doing this to get the wheel back on. And come back over here. And turn this counterclockwise to lower the car to the ground. All right. Tighten back up. So I'm ready to go. Now we need a big breaker bar and a 32 millimeter socket. Or is it 36? Let's see.
And you can remove this notch on the lock. It's a locking tab. Bend that back up, then remove this nut.
All right. Breaking a giant hub bolt by hand. All right, let's see. Oh, God. All right. Come on. All right, if not, that was going to be next. You can't do it that way. You can always extend. Amazing.
Once that is removed, then you're going to go up here. That's where you're going to remove the knuckle, two bolts on the knuckle, and this is going to lean forward.
Get this light. All right, there's a 10 millimeter right here you're going to take off, and a 12 millimeter right here that you're going to take off. And also, let's see why we are doing this job. It's right back there. Yeah, split wide open. And let's see if I can get the light to stay. Here we go. Crazy looking. That's supposed to be all sealed together. Soon to be fixed.
At that point, use a punch and a hammer and knock that axle back through the hub. So this part was pretty hard to do, but once you get that pushed back, then this whole assembly from right here, once that collapses out, then you're going to try, no, I got it backwards. Once this collapses out, then you're going to try and remove the, where this connects in. So that next step is prying this out. Let's see, that was this. All right. right where that inner boot joins up, use a pry bar, but being careful. This part I marked out because that's only if you're rebuilding. I pull the whole thing out any way that you can, pulling it straight because you're replacing this whole thing. You don't need to worry about the inboard joint. So draw it straight out and pry and jostle just a little bit, and you'll get this thing to be able to come out. All right, so now you're going to go reverse and install your new axle. So where it has been pried out, we're going to clear that area, clean it with some parts cleaner, let it dry. And then, all right, so once you insert that inboard end, it's here. The spindle has to line up with the grooves. And once you get that in there, just I can feel it start to connect and rotate. It'll go in about this much. You've got to manhandle it, slam that in there. So make sure it's lined up very well. Then push as hard as you can straight in and knock that sucker in so it is, I mean, absolutely flush. Now, once that's in there, now you've got to get it back into the front hub. So again, I disconnected from the top, so it's going to be rotated out. This part isn't too bad getting this back in here, but you really need the block of wood to hold the control arm down so that you have enough room to get this lined up in there. A little bit of grease on this is going to help guide that through so that the spindle lines up properly in the hub.
Okay, there were a lot of steps done to get the new CV joint or axle back in there. Right now, putting these bolts back on the knuckle, but the key was that block of wood just being able to give some clearance to get all this back together.
When you get that back in there, and then when you install that new spindle nut, we are going to torque that down to 181 foot-pounds. And then we're going to notch it. So you put a big score into the keyhole at the top so that it does not come off.
Yeah. Come on, yes. All right, if not, that was gonna be next. You can't do it that way. You can always extend. Amazing.